Following the developments in formal logic with symbolic logic in the late 19th century and mathematical logic in the 20th, topics traditionally treated by logic not being part of formal logic have tended to be termed either philosophy of logic or philosophical logic, if no longer simply logic. Compared to the history of logic, the demarcation between philosophy of logic and philosophical logic is of recent coinage and not always entirely clear. Characterizations include philosophy of logic is the area of philosophy devoted to examining the scope and nature of logic. Philosophy of logic is the investigation, critical analysis and intellectual reflection on issues arising in logic. The field is considered to be distinct from philosophical logic. Philosophical logic is the branch of study that concerns questions about reference, predication, identity, truth, quantification, existence, entailment, modality, and necessity. Philosophical logic is the application of formal logical techniques to philosophical problems. This article outlines issues in philosophy of logic or provides links to relevant articles or both. Introduction. This article makes use the following terms and concepts: type token distinction, use mention distinction, truth. Parmenides said, to say that that which is not, or that which is not is a falsehood, and to say that which is and that which is not is true. This apparent truism has not proved unproblematic. Truth-bearers' logic uses such terms as true, false, inconsistent, valid, and self-contradictory. Questions arise as Strawson writes when we use these words of logical appraisal. What is it exactly that we are appraising? And how does logical appraisal become possible? See also sentence, statement, proposition. Tashi's definition of truth. C. Semantic theory of truth. Tashi's theory. T. Schema. Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy entry on Tashi's truth definitions. Self-reference. 2.1 Consequences of the semantic paradoxes in Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Analytic truths. Logical truth, validity, logical consequence and entailment. Since the use, meaning, if not the meaningfulness, of the terms is part of the debate, it is possible only to give the following working definitions for the purposes of the discussion. A necessary truth is one that is true no matter what the state of the world, or, as it is sometimes put, in all possible worlds. Logical truths are those necessary truths that are necessarily true owing to the meaning of their logical constants only. In formal logic, a logical truth is just a statement, which is true under all possible interpretations. An analytic truth is one whose predicate concept is contained in its subject concept. The concept of logical truth is intimately linked with those of validity, logical consequence and entailment. If Q is a logical truth, then P therefore Q will be a valid argument. If P1, P2, P3, Pn therefore Q is a valid argument, then its corresponding conditional will be a logical truth. If P1 and P2 and P3, Pn entails Q, then Q is a logical truth. If Q is a logical consequence of P1 and P2 and P3, Pn if and only if P1 and P2 and P3, Pn entails Q, and if and only if then Q is a logical truth. Issues that arise include: if there are truths that must be true, what makes them so? Are there analytic truths that are not logical truths? Are there necessary truths that are not analytic truths? Are there necessary truths that are not logical truths? Is the distinction between analytic truth and synthetic truth spurious? See also paradox, meaning and reference. See sense and reference. Theory of reference. Mediated reference theory, direct reference theory, causal theory of reference, descriptivist theory of names, Saul Kripke, Frege's puzzle, Gottlob Frege, failure of reference, rigid designator, philosophy of language, index of philosophy of language articles, supposition theory, referring expression, meaning, denotation and connotation, extension and intention, extensional definition, intentional definition, metacommunicative competence, absent referent, names and descriptions, failure to refer, proper name, definite description, descriptivist theory of names, theory of descriptions, singular term, term logic singular terms, empty name, bar van Phrasan singular terms, truth-value gaps, and free logic. The foundations of arithmetic development of Frege's own view of a number, philosophy of language references, direct reference, mediated reference theory, formal and material consequence, the problem of the material conditional, see material conditional, logical constants and connectives, quantifiers and quantificational theory, modal logic, deviant logics, classical v. non-classical logics, philosophical theories of logic, conceptualism, constructivism, dialetheism, fictionalism, finitism, formalism, intuitionism, logical atomism, logicism, nominalism, realism, Platonic realism, structuralism. Other topics: Leibniz's law, see identity of indiscernibles, vacuous names, do predicates have properties, see second-order logic, sense, reference, connotation, denotation, extension, intention, the status of the laws of logic, classical logic, intuitionism, realism, see Platonic realism, philosophical realism, the law of excluded middle, see law of excluded middle, modality, intentionality and propositional attitude, counterfactuals, psychologism, important figures. Important figures in the philosophy of logic include philosophers of logic, literature, Fisher Jennifer, On the Philosophy of Logic, Thomson Wadworth, 2008, ISBN 978-0-495-00888-0, Goebel, Lou, ed. 2001. Philosophical Logic. Oxford, Blackwell. ISBN 0-631-20693-0. Grayling, C. 1997. An Introduction to Philosophical Logic. 3rd ed. Oxford, Blackwell. ISBN 0-631-199829. Jacquet, Dale, ed. 2002. A Companion to Philosophical Logic. Oxford, Blackwell. ISBN 1-4051-4575-7. Neal, W. and M. The Development of Logic. Oxford. McGinn, Colin, 2000. Logical Properties. Identity, Existence, Predication, Necessity, Truth. Oxford. Oxford University Press. ISBN 0-19-926263-2. Quine, Willard Van Orman. Philosophy of Logic. Prentice Hall, New Jersey USA. Sainsbury, Mark, 2001. Logical Forms. An Introduction to Philosophical Logic. 2nd ed. Oxford, Blackwell. ISBN 0-631-21679-0. Strawson, P.F. Philosophical Logic. OUP. Alfred Tashi, 1983. The Concept of Truth in Formalized Languages. pp. 152-278. Logic, Semantics, Metamathematics. Papers from 1923 to 1938. Ed. John Corcoran, Hackett, Indianapolis, 1983. Wolfram, Sybil, 1989. Philosophical Logic. An Introduction. London, Routledge. 290 pages. ISBN 0-415-02318-1, ISBN 978-0-415-02318-4. Journal of Philosophical Logic, Springer SBM.